Hello, dear friends, brothers, sisters, and spiritual aspirants on the path of absolute happiness or on the path of realizing your true nature. So, this is the 12th episode in our special series, which we are actually making to assist you to fulfill the final goal of your spiritual journey and to live in a state of peace and a state of happiness. Call it self-absorption, call it living in a state of equanimity and serenity without being affected, you see, by your day-to-day problems or your day-to-day happinesses. So the title that we have given to this episode is Changeless and Changing Reality. It's an interesting title because we are dealing with both, you see, changeless and changing reality. And what we hope to achieve is that you can gain an overview, you see, of this changeless reality being consciousness or awareness or that which is beyond space and time, right? The spaceless, timeless entity. And you see this changing reality. You're very familiar with this. This changing reality is this world of images. So, you see, when we actually gain a good overview of changeless and changing reality and then realize that there is no difference at all, you see, between changeless and changing reality, right? Then, you see, by connecting with this understanding that the changeless and the changing reality is one and the same, then we are actually able to live in that state of equanimity or unbroken peace or absolute happiness, whether we are working with images in our day-to-day activity or we are in meditation, or you see our observation is focused at this changeless reality. So this is an overview of this particular episode 12. So let us first of all look at this changeless reality. I'll draw your attention to figure 1, and in this what you see is that there is this beautiful lady in the boat, and she is in the middle of this lake, and she is looking at this lovely view, you see, of rocky mountains, and then on one side you see is another layer of mountains with beautiful green trees on them, and there is the lake of the view there is the view of the lake anyway, right? So how does this view appear? Look at it in every life of yours. You see, from childhood until now, this view has always been there, right? And how does this view appear? This view appears because, you see, the light of consciousness, or what you call as the divine will, from your body of spirit, you see, when you stretch your hands, where your hands are, when your hands are stretched, is the body of spirit. So this light of consciousness or the divine will acts on the intuition which comes from your body of intuition, which is then the next body. So as a result of this light of consciousness, as it is actually traveling through you, you see, you and including everything what is there appears in this view. This view is the changeless reality right in front of you, right? Okay, now let us move on to the second figure, and it's a short film. You see, in this actually what you see is that this young mother is walking with her daughter on in the woods or on a walking trail, right? Now you see how she's actually dancing and communicating with her daughter. Both are actually very happy, and then at the same time you see their attention is also going to their thoughts, to their feelings, and also to these beautiful trees which are all around. So you see, how does the mother communicate with her daughter, at the same time focus on her thoughts, her feelings? How does the daughter smile back at the mother, and how do they view all these beautiful images around them? You see, this is because of the presence of divine attention. You look at it, whatever you do, you see, your attention goes to your thoughts, to your feelings, you see, to all the images which are there around you. So this is that divine attention which precedes every activity, every image, internal or external. And this divine attention, call it divine attention, the outer guru, is again that changeless reality, right? Now you see, having looked at the changeless and the changing reality, let us now focus on figure 3. You see, I've collected a lot of figures to make this interesting for you to follow and to understand, right? So now looking at figure 3, you see, one is this changeless reality. See, it's in sort of brownish color, and then there's this blue arrow going. You see, this changeless reality is the light of consciousness. The changeless reality is represented by and is actually the light of consciousness. Then you see on this screen of light of consciousness, if you follow the arrow down, is the changing reality. And what is this changing reality? This changing reality is this world of images, right? You see, there's a blue arrow which shows that the changing reality is leading, you see, to the world of images. Now, what we have to actually realize, if we have to be, you see, in this state of peace, what we have to realize is that the changeless reality and the changing reality are both one and the same, right? This is where we are actually trying to arrive at. And you have to arrive at this understanding not by practice, not by a lot of reading. You see, you have to arrive at this ultimate, final spiritual truth, you see, to which, you see, had been arrived at by the ancient sages like sage Ramana, like sage Ribhu, you know, like actually Jesus, like Buddha. You see, that is why they were illuminated, unaffected by images, and always living in that state of peace. This is what you've got to realize, that this changeless reality is the same and is equal to the changing reality. There is absolutely no difference between them, whether you are dealing with the changeless reality, which is consciousness, or you are actually dealing with this world of changing images, right? So let us now look at a few examples that how actually this is possible. You see, nature gives us the answer to all such queries. So now let us look at this figure 4. You see, it's a beautiful figure. What this figure represents is a series of, waves on the surface of the ocean. Now look at this. You see, one thing is always there, that these waves will be never separated from the ocean, meaning that this world of changing images never separates itself from consciousness. It's a very important point to be noted. You see, the waves are only appearing on the surface of the sea. The waves can be of different shapes, of different times, of different length, of different height. It doesn't matter, right? But they all appear on the surface and appear as if they are separated from each other, but they still cling to the surface of the sea. And this is a very important point to note. It never happens that, say, about 6 or 7 waves, they say, we are tired, of being on the surface of the sea. And they say, we are going to go to the clouds, spend about 1 hour there, and then we will come back and join this surface of the sea. No, you see, that actually never happens, right? That actually never happens. So you see, whether you look at the sea 10 meters deep, it's very peaceful, or you look at the surface, or you are looking at the waves, look at one thing very carefully. Everything is made of water. And when does this changeless reality, this sea, change into the changing reality? Right at the surface. That's where these waves of different forms are actually appearing and disappearing, governed by the law of creation, being created, sustained, and then destroyed. They appear and disappear. So just like there is no difference really between the changing waves and the ocean, both are made of water and doing what they are supposed to do, similarly the changeless reality, which is divine attention, and the changing waves is actually exactly one and the same, right? So we will understand this by a number of illustrations. So let me now take you to this illustration 5, or this image 5 or figure 5. Look at this. What is happening in this? You see, this is the picture of a cinema hall, and as you can see, there are so many people sitting on these seats watching these heavenly bodies. It's a picture of heavenly bodies which is appearing on this giant screen. See, there's like something exploding, like white light, right? But look at one thing. You see, and you can try this out. Whenever you have gone to see the movie of your favorite hero or heroine, have you actually ever noticed that suddenly in the middle of the movie, the hero or the heroine of that movie walks out, sees you sitting on the seat, comes along, hugs you and says hello to you and says, okay, now I'll go back and continue with the picture on the screen. It never happens. This is a point to be noted. There is never ever any separation between the screen and the images appearing on the screen. Now the screen may be considered as the light of consciousness, right? And the images which are appearing on the screen are like the moving pictures, are like the images appearing on the screen of consciousness. Now, you see, in a way, actually, we can say that it's a screen which has been cut up as these images, as all images appear and disappear on the screen. You see, when you watch the TV, on your TV screen, it's exactly the same thing. If there is no screen, you cannot watch anything on your TV. Similarly, when you go to a cinema hall, if there is no screen, there can be no moving pictures. So you see, again, actually you realize that the light of consciousness and the images is one and the same. There is actually no difference between the two. Okay, now you see, we will move on to our next illustration, and this is an exercise. This is a very beautiful exercise, which I want you to really, with folded hands, I'm actually asking you, with folded hands, with my head say at your feet, to practice this. Because this is your natural state. You see, you look at this film, and there is this young lady, and she is on this walking trail. Now, what is happening to her? You see, as she is walking, there is this beautiful view of the mountains. You see, there is this beautiful view of the valley. There's the beautiful view of the sky, right? There's this sunshine all around, and there are all these lovely trees everywhere, right? So you see, what are these? These are all the images appearing in the view as this lady takes her walk. It's a very beautiful short film. Similarly, what is your normal everyday experience? Even what is your experience now? You see, this view appears in front of you, and in this view, these images are actually appearing, isn't it? The images of thoughts, the images of feelings, and these gross images. And as a matter of fact, there is nothing which is actually outside this view. The view appears because of the changeless reality, the light of consciousness. You see, if you were to think about, say, space and time, you see, even space and time is within this view because you can visualize it, right? All the heavenly bodies are within this view. There is nothing outside this view. This view is the reality, and this attention due to which you see these objects is the grace flowing all the time. But you see, all these images, just like in this short illustration, this short movie, all these images are actually within your view, and these images are the changing reality, the wondrous nature. You see, these are all images which actually seem to come and go, appear and disappear. This is what I want you to look at. You see, you really don't have to do anything about this. All you have to do is think, feel it, and see this. By meditation, by study of scriptures, you are not going to get this because this is your natural state. And here actually you can see that this changing reality of images appearing and disappearing is actually just like waves on the surface of the sea. You see, they come and they go. They appear and they disappear, and there you are. You can see that the changeless reality only is appearing as these changing images which are appearing and disappearing. Both the view, the attention, the changeless reality is doing its job changelessly. And what are these images doing? They are also appearing and disappearing changelessly. Both are actually doing their job. But here, by this simple, direct exercise, you can actually see, you can think, you can feel, and you can actually see that this actually is the ultimate truth, and you are never going to be affected by any image. You yourself are an image in your own screen actually. You see, as long as you live in space and time, you can't run away. Can you? You will always be an image. You will always need the view. You will always need the light of consciousness. You will always need attention. But you also, like an image, appear and disappear. Look at it. Awake, dreams, and then deep sleep. You disappear yourself as well, right? So, just by this simple exercise, please try and realize that absolutely there is no difference between the changeless and changing images. All right. Let's take a few more examples. Let us come to this illustration 7. You see, look at Mother Earth. And look at this illustration 7, which is the interior of a house. What do you see inside this house? And this is normally how we always behave. You see, when you are inside your house, look at it. Look at this picture. You see, it has got these wooden panels, right? And then it has got this a floor of porcelain tiles, right? And then it has got a carpet. It has got a ceiling, a false ceiling at the top, right? And it has got these walls. These walls are like painted white, right? Anything that you look at this interior of the house, all this comes from Mother Earth, right? Even though all these things which are there, they keep on changing. When you sit inside your house, you never actually look at this, but you see, all this is nothing but coming from Mother Earth, which is the changeless reality, and whatever appears in the house is basically of that changing reality, but it is from that same Mother Earth, though appearing in different material, in different forms, right? So here again you can see that changeless reality and changing reality is one and the same. All right, let us move on to illustration 8. You see, illustration 8 is actually another beautiful illustration. This is like a garden setting outside, and you see a lot of actually trees there, palm trees, oak trees. You see, there are so many different trees: mango tree, plum tree, guava tree. There are so many different trees, pine tree. But look at it, all the trees are made from wood. And as you can see in this illustration 8, there is some furniture there. Look at those cane legs. You see, this furniture is made from wood. Now, whether you look at furniture, whether it's a chair, a table, a bed head made from wood, or you look at different trees are of different shapes. You see, mango tree, guava tree, pine tree, oak tree, which is used for making these, or bamboo tree used for making this furniture. You see, but all of them are made of that same material, the same underlying current, the same, it is the wood, right? So again, whether you look at the forms or you look at the substratum, the wood, again, the changeless and the changing is one and the same. Let us look at another illustration. Illustration 9, figure 9. Look at it. This is the picture of a very beautiful Indian lady. What is she wearing? She's wearing this gold jewelry, you see, made from 24 karat gold. Look, she's got a earring, right? She's got some bangles, she's got her hand there, and she is wearing this, necklace, right? There are a few necklaces she is wearing. She has got very beautiful earrings. Now you see, we are always looking at either the earrings or the nose stud or the bangles, but who is really aware of the presence of gold? You see, even when all these ornaments are melted, it still remains as gold. So you see, again, gold and the forms, the different ornaments in which this gold appears is again the same. Call the gold as the changeless reality, the images as the changing reality, because you can make it into different shapes and forms of ornaments. Still, the changeless reality and the changing reality is one and the same. You see how beautiful actually it is. All right, let us look at one actually last example, and this is a beautiful example again. This is our illustration 10. So I've given you a lot of actually examples in this. Now when you look at illustration 10, what is this? It's a flower pot, right? Actually it's a plant with a pot made from pottery. Now, you see, there are different pots in which we have different plants which are made from pottery. You would have seen them. You might have some in your backyard. You may have some in your balcony, wherever you live. Now, what happens? Say you had one of these pots in your hand and it fell down and it broke. So naturally, we feel sad. We feel sorry. But no one looks at the clay. Everyone is actually looking at the pot, which is the name and the form and what function it is performing. There is this plant in it. Now it is sitting on the ground. But if you were to collect all that broken clay, take it to the potter, he will actually grind it, mix some water with it, and then he'll put it on his potter's wheel and make a new pot for you. So again, look at it. No one looks at the underlying reality, the clay. We are always actually busy only looking at the changing reality of the world of images. So whether it is the pot, the name, form and function, or it is the clay, both are the same. Both are actually the same. What you have to do is look at it either with the same outlook. Right? Okay. Now actually we are going to move on to a few exercises. You see, and I would like you to practice these exercises so that you too can be in that same state of equanimity as happiness as I am, or as sage Ramana was, or as Rishi Master Beyonce Duno is. You see, look at this first picture. This is our illustration 11 or picture number 11. This is actually a piece of wood. Look at it. This is a piece of wood which is appearing as a snake. And isn't that actually quite a common example? You see, when you are walking in the morning or when you walk in the evening and you look at this piece of wood, you see when it's twilight, it appears as if it is a snake. But when you go near, it's actually like a piece of wood, right? Okay, I'll take this illustration away and show you another similar illustration. Illustration 12. Look at this illustration. This is actually a rope. You see, it's quite beautiful. Illustration 12. This is a rope which is appearing as a snake. Right? Now, you see, with that picture which was shown previously, or let us look at this picture, what do we want to do? This is a beautiful exercise. You see, a beautiful exercise. You see, there must be someone near and dear to you, someone close to you. Say it's your wife, or it's your closest friend, or it's your daughter, or it's your son, or it's a work colleague, whoever it may be. Let us say you are a male and you're married and you have a wife. Now, look at the wife. You can have anyone, right? You look at the wife. Now, naturally you will think that, oh, this is my wife. That's the natural thought. But it is correct, but it is not the complete or the correct thought or the feeling. Now, if you put the second question, that is this the self, the light of consciousness, the changeless reality which has temporarily appeared as my wife, then the picture is complete. Only then you are looking at the rope. You are no longer looking at the snake, which is the wife. You see, all the time you live in the world of images, names, forms, functions, you only look at that appearing and disappearing reality which is really looking at the snake. You never look at the rope. You see, the rope is that, is it the changeless reality? Is it the changeless self? Is it the light of consciousness that has appeared as my wife? Then you have the complete picture, right? All right. Now, naturally, everyone loves oneself. You love yourself like I love myself. You love yourself. We never hate ourselves, really, do we? Even if it is temporary. So let's take an example there, right? This is another beautiful example. This is the last illustration, illustration 14. Now, look at it. Say this is you. This is the picture of a male. What is the male doing? He's looking at the mirror, looking at his dress and admiring himself. Now, if you're a male, you will naturally go and shave every morning or do your beard or whatever, right? And if you're a female, then naturally you will comb your hairs, do your makeup, whatever in the morning. So what you do is, every morning, at least do it for, 40 days, minimum 40 days, to do justice to this spiritual discussion. Look at the mirror. And what do you see? You see yourself in the mirror, right? And you always think that, oh, this is Anilji in the mirror. Or you think, oh, this is Mary who is in the mirror. Or this is the image of Jack. Or this is the image of Sandankini, or this is the image of Jackie, or this is the image of Bettina, whatever the name may be, this is this image appearing in the mirror. But if that is all that you think, again, you are looking at the snake on the rope. You're only looking at a quarter of the real picture. But now if you change your thinking and say, is it the self? Or is it the light of consciousness? Is it the changeless reality which is temporarily appearing as this changing image? Then you have actually realized in its full bloom that the changeless reality and the changing reality is one and the same. Right? So please do this exercise. Okay, and there's a small joke here. Once I was doing this spiritual discussion with a friend of mine living in Singapore, actually, and he said to me when he was a young boy, he, was living in a town called Hyderabad, and his parents had put him in a hostel, right? And in the hostel, they had this dormitory downstairs and the bedrooms were upstairs. So you go down the steps and you go down to this dormitory, right? There they had a table tennis table, there were some curtains, some windows, and there were some tables for having, their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So as he was coming down, he saw something coiled near the curtain where the window was. So he said, oh, what is this rope actually doing here? And when he went to touch it, guess what? When he went to touch it, it was actually a snake. So he actually caught hold of a snake thinking it is a rope, the other way around, And anyway, he was not afraid. He said he took the snake outside and put it there. So you've got real snakes and real ropes in this wondrous nature of self or the reality, right? So you can take it either way. One actually arrives at the changeless and the changing reality. So coming to the conclusion of this special episode, you see, whether it is the changeless reality, which is the appearance of the view, the light of consciousness, the attention, or it is the changing reality. You see, these innumerable waves, thoughts, feelings, physical activity, heavenly bodies, all these changing images which are appearing and disappearing in the view, there is absolutely no difference between the changeless and the changing reality. This changing reality is the difficult part of your journey, because that is where you live, that is where you function, that's where you will always be as an image in space and time. So you must naturally, by thinking, feeling, and by personal observation, naturally realize this is your natural state. Changeless and changing reality is one and the same. So with this last illustration, it says there's a namaste and there is a thank you. I say my namaste to you from the core of my spiritual heart, and my thank you for having taken your time to have listened to this special episode. I hope that it will help you in your spiritual journey. Thank you, and you have a nice day or a nice evening as it is. Thank you.